Hello, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the pool party. I hope you can swim because we're definitely diving into the deep end with a huge splash of truth, facts, evidence, information, and proof. Swim. Say what you mean. It's talk about talking. How we listen, how we hear, how we speak, how we hear what we're listening to when we speak, how a listener hears what we're saying, if what we're saying, what they're actually hearing and or understanding. Is it clear? Swim. Say what you mean. Well, that's just the beginning of understanding, because after we get that understanding, how do we accept it? How we respond if it's not what we expect is paramount. Are you okay with the truth? Are you man, woman, human, or spiritual enough to accept the truth? Let's find out. Welcome to the Swimming Pool with your host, Travis Bridges.
And that would be moi. How y'all doing out there in internet land? It's another Wednesday night. I am your host, Travis Bridges, and welcome to the Swimming Pool. It's Talk About Talking, another Wednesday edition of Say What You Mean. It's the acronym that goes along with SWYM, or SWYM is the acronym that goes along with, you know what I'm saying, unless you don't know what I'm saying. Hey, Kimberly. Hey, R. Monk. Hey, Christine. How's everybody doing? I really appreciate you. Let me get my theme music going. I've got something interesting I'm going to do tonight that is a little bit on the crazy side, but that's how I'm feeling. Let me get my theme music going. Here we go. Yes. I've got some tough stuff I'm going to be talking about tonight. I have two guests canned, and I have two topics. First topic is going to be 6 and 9 perceptions. And the second topic is going to be gays and lesbians. Remember I said a few weeks ago I was going to do that, and I was even saying to myself, why are you doing that? I don't know why. Just wait and see. It's a hot topic, a little touchy in some cases, but I am going to do it anyhow. Well, let me tell you a little bit about SWYM. It started as a spinoff from the COVID concert series back when COVID was hotter than it is right now, and everything was shut down. So I started coming on the internet with my saxophone, and after playing the same songs 159 billion times, I decided I'd do a little bit more talking. And this is what I came up with. There's so much more that's going to happen with this live stream. I'm here just kind of getting it cranked up. I have some wonderful ideas, and it's really pretty much talk about talking, how we listen, how we hear, what we do with the information we find when it's old and when it's new. Sometimes if you hear a story or if you hear, anything at all, and then you ponder it inside your head, and then you think about it, and then you have like a conclusion about it or an opinion or something, and then maybe you get some more information, or you learn more about what you heard. You can reassess your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and your beliefs to eventually come up with what is. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to take a short break, and when I come back, I'm going to get right into my first caller. Again, before I do that, I would like to remind you that if you'd like to chat with me, please do me a small favor. Send me an email to travisbridges2. And that's Travis Bridges and the number 2 at AOL.com. In the subject, just put call me, and in the body, just put in there what you'd like to talk about, what maybe you'd like to hear me address, or if you'd like to chat with me, I'll put you on, okay? And for the record, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a therapist. I'm just a guy who likes the idea of listening to information and analyzing it for its substance and or relevance and or truth. So with that being said, I'm going to do something different. I'm thinking about changing my theme song. I really like the song that's in the background right now, but I've got another song that I'm going to start using in another few weeks or so. And I'm going to play it for you in just a second. Let me just stop this right here. And if it's all right, if y'all don't mind, I'd like to do my own version of karaoke of this song. You know, I had a rough day. It's been a long day. 5:30 I got up, and I've been kicking ever since. And I'm ready for you tonight. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to karaoke my possible new theme song. Are you ready for that? Are you ready? Don't wait. What's going on here? Oh, man, this shouldn't be on. I wonder how long has that been going. I'm going to get my technical people. That shouldn't be playing back. Okay, this is going to be my new theme song. Well, maybe not theme song. Maybe one of the segments that I'm going to feature. And this is going to be the song. And I'm going to sing a little bit of it. Is that all right? I hope you say yeah. Y'all ready to hear me sing? I'm ready to hear me sing. You ready? All right. Oh, by the way, there's a small delay. So don't pay that no attention if I seem like a little bit behind the beat. I'm just having a little fun. Don't be jealous. All right, here we go. Rock with me. Boy, here we go. You ready? Rock steady, baby. That's what I feel. Let's call this song exactly what it is. It's a funky low down feeling. Move your hips from left to right. What it is, it must be doing this funky dance all night. Oh no, man, I got the wrong verse. I'm gonna have to start over another time. I knew I messed up somewhere, but I wasn't sure. So much for that. I was grooving though, right? I promise I'll do it again when I can't miss the cue, because you can't come out on a Queen of Soul song and mess it up. Anyway, what I'm going to do is take a little shout break. I'll be right back with my caller. Thank you so much. Hold the spot you got. I'll be right back.
The Swimming Pool with Travis Bridges is a talk segment about talking. Talk about talking? Yes, talk about talking. It's designed to bring awareness to how we listen, how we hear, and what we do with the information we receive during communication. The mind is automatically programmed to protect the body and soul. It displays that through each and every encounter we experience. If any part of the body is threatened, the mind will automatically issue the flight command. The flight command to retreat to safety. Well, that same command is also deployed when our ego is threatened. The ego, yes, the ego. It's so natural and common, it happens oftentimes without us even knowing. Engaging in conversation and staying focused on what is present is considered mental fitness. It strengthens our emotions and helps us to gain control of our circumstances instead of having our circumstances overtake our thinking and our very existence. It's a difficult task to achieve because our feelings, beliefs, and desires are so strong that it causes us to totally disregard even the most common or basic reasoning. This live stream is only here to bring awareness to that subconscious process. Nothing or no one is actually wrong. However, the idea of being open to anything outside of what we've already concluded is golden, especially if the new information is transparent. The SWYM developers would like to say thanks for supporting, watching, listening, and sharing this information. Now, back to the swimming pool. Let's dive in and swim.
All right, I've got a few minutes still.
Okay, good. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a scenario, and we're going to talk about it. And the way this works is the name of my live stream is called SWYM. It's the acronym for Say What You Mean. And I believe we should say what we mean instead of saying what we feel, what we think, or what we believe. If we can actually connect what's actually happening to what's actually going on and communicate on, proof and evidence, I think we will have a whole lot less disagreements. And especially if we can accept, the truth. I heard a preacher say one time, the truth is unbelievable. Why would the truth be unbelievable? But I understand what he was saying after, of course, he went through the message, and I've had a few of my own experiences. But the truth is very hard, not necessarily to believe, but it's more difficult to accept. So I'm going to give you a scenario, and I want your opinion on it, and then we're going to talk. And if you can, I want you to talk based on what you really mean and what's going on, as opposed to how you feel or what you believe about it. You okay with that?
Okay, so the acronym is say what you mean. All right, so you're telling me to speak on it, not how I actually feel?
You can say how you feel, but I want your determination to be based on what is presented before you. Because if you get into your feelings, the feelings is the next best thing to your ego. I'm trying to keep the ego out of the truth and reality. I know it's difficult for most people to do, which is why I have these live streams the way I have them. So what it is I'm trying to do now is to make sure that, I have these conversations so that when I play them back, people can actually hear themselves and how maybe they are catering to their feelings and their thoughts and their beliefs as opposed to what's actually being said. So if I say something to you, I want you to respond based on what I'm saying as opposed to how you may feel about it. You can put your feelings in it, but I will let you know when your feelings are getting stronger. So let me give you the scenario, and then we can just go from there.
Right. Okay, because I feel that kind of hard for me to have a conversation about saying something. I don't know.
It's not hard. It's not just hard for you. It's hard for most people. That's why I am bringing awareness to how we listen, how we hear, how we understand, how we process information, and what we do with that information once we have the evidence in front of us. Most people either don't want to accept the truth, or they don't believe the truth, or they just reject it. So yeah, that's where we're going. I know it's going to be difficult. That's why I'm having the conversation. So we're already 3.5 minutes in. So you're ready to just go so you can hear the scenario and see how it goes?
Okay.
Okay. So I was talking with one of my brothers just a couple days ago, and that's why I never, have subjects planned out. I just talk about talking. So me and my brother were talking about opposing sides and how people see different things and how perception and reality. We had that whole long conversation. So as we were closing our conversation, he gave me an example of something. He says, okay, I want you to stand right in front of me. He stood about 2 feet away from me. We faced each other toe to toe. I was looking at him. He was looking at me. He said, imagine there's an imaginary line in between us. And in that imaginary line is a 6. And I said, okay. He said, you got that? I was like, yes, I got it. So he says, okay, from where I'm standing, it's a 6, but on your side, it's a 9. And I said, oh yeah, it is that. And I said, but the reality is that it's either a 6 or a 9. If you look at the perception, it's not necessarily reality, but if it's a 6 or a 9, it's one or the other. I know what it can look like from a different angle, but I'm trying to get the point out of him of what it is. And that's why when people have situations, whether they're in court or whether it's a father and son or a mother and daughter or a husband and wife arguing or fussing, they've got to look at what the truth is instead of how they're trying to make it work for them. Because you can always change the truth or sway the truth or manipulate the truth. But there is only one real truth. People say there's his, hers, or one person and the other ones, and then there's the real truth. So let me just get back to my point. He said from his side, it was a 6, and from my side, it would be a 9. But I said, but it's either one or the other. And he said, therein lies your problem right now, right there. And I said, okay, well, let me just respond to what you were saying. So as he gave me that definition, what he said was, from your side, it's a 9, and from my side, it's a 6. We're both right, are we not? And I said, well, kind of, sort of. It depends on what the number really is. So I said, well, I get it, and you're right. There would both be 2 sides that were seeing it that were both right. But let me then give you my example and my response to that. And he said, okay. So I said, thank you for sharing that. So then I went on my rant. I said, okay, here's my definition, or here's my, what do you call it? My example. I said, if I owe you $9,000 and on payday, I give you $6,000 and I tell you from my side, it's right. And he said, oh no, that's different. I didn't want to go back and forth with him, but I gave him that response in terms of how I saw that and how it's the same. So then now we had this dilemma of where he was saying both are right. And then if I owed him $9,000 and I only paid him $6,000, how it wouldn't be the same in that case. But then we kind of left it alone. And after we kind of parted ways, I talked to my son and I explained to my son the exact same scenario that I just explained to you. And my son said, okay, Dad, I get your point. So now let me respond. After my buddy responded, I responded. He said, Dad, if I'm talking to someone and they don't want to have the conversation about what's intended, then I don't want to talk to that person anyway, because there are people who will see a 6 and try to show you the confusion and how it could be a 9 as opposed to what is the original intention and what is the reality, because an intention and a reality could make, lines blurred. But when you have a conversation, that's why you have conversations to bring forth the information, the evidence, and the proof. And once you have that conversation and it's open, it's still difficult for many people to accept, the evidence that is presented. So what my son said and what brought it all home for me was that's why you have conversation. That's why you're bringing awareness to how people communicate. If someone did not want to come to the table with me, if I know that I loaned you $9,000 and you told me you were going to pay me pay me $9,000 back, and then you offered me $6,000 on payday, we clearly have a problem. Yes, you would have a point in that a 6 and a 9 can look and be the same, but we had an agreement that went like this. I'm going to give you $9,000. I'm not going to charge you any interest. And in 6 months, you're going to pay me back $9,000. And if a person didn't want to have that conversation, he said he would not want to have anything to do with that person whatsoever. So although you can look at how things can be skewed and how they can be, confusing, or how a person can change the truth into something else, truth is truth. Reality is reality. And, if you're dealing with a person who doesn't want to come to the table with reality and the truth and be accepting of it, then you have to almost leave that kind of person and that conversation alone. So I want your opinion on everything I just said, and I'm going to shut my mouth and let you respond.
Well, to me, truth should be the real thing, which would be reality. That's how I look at it. So, the perception of the 6 and the 9, that's a visual. So on one side, you visually see a 6. On the other side, you visually see a 9. But when you look at your bank account, you don't see 6 and 9. You see $9,000 or either $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
So one is visual and one is reality.
Okay. So what I think I hear you saying is a visual truth or not a truth, a visual perception is a little different from reality within itself.
Correct.
Okay, so what that does is it gives a little credit to what my son said, which is why I was excited, about what he said in regards to, coming to the table and talking about, hey, what was the agreement? What is it supposed to be here? What is it supposed to be, a 6 or is it supposed to be a 9? And someone's intention may be one thing, but when you put all the evidence and information out there, they may say, okay, well, I wanted to borrow 6, but I know I could only pay 9 back. And that's where I borrowed 9, but I can only pay 6 back. And that's what I thought we agreed to. But we had this conversation, and we may even have it in writing over here. What you actually meant was, okay, you wanted to borrow 9, but you could only pay 6 months, pay the $6,000 back within 6 months. Well, the 6 and the 9 within the 6 months, and the 6 lending and the 6 paying back instead of the 9 paying back, is where it got blurred in the conversation. But if we sit down, you are open to the truth and the reality, and you say, oh no, here's where the problem is. You borrowed 9. You told me that in 6 months you would be able to pay 6 back. And then in the next 3 months, which would then be 9 months, you'll be able to give me the 9 back. After we have that conversation and then we are clear, then I get my $9,000 back. You get the extra 3 months that you originally intended to pay it back, and then we can all shake hands and go home. But if we stop the argument back at, no, I only said 6, and a 6 and a 9 is the same, and it's blah, 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 we're going to have a fuss and a fight, and we're not going to get along. So considering the amount of time, thank you for having this with me. It's much shorter than I thought it was going to be. What is your overall take in everything I just said? Because I really believe that if you speak based on reality and the truth and what is, as opposed to how you feel and what you think and what you believe and what you thought, people can come to the truth and reality if they just communicate. All those 2 scenarios that I just explained are the confusion, but intelligent people should be able to sit down and work things out. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
They should be able to work it out based on reality, not based on
perception.
Perception or visual.
So you know that saying that goes, perception is reality. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
Not really.
So that's not a yes or no. Do you agree that perception is reality? Yes or no?
No, because what's real is real.
Real is real, because as we just gave the example, a 6 on one side is a 9 on the other, and those are 2 different perceptions. But the reality is it a 6 or a 9, and how do you determine? Well, if you say what comes before 7 and after 5, or what comes after 8 and before 10, then that's how you determine which is which. And having those conversations is how you can minimize a lot of confusion. And that's why I'm here. That's what this live stream is about. And for the most part, I don't prove anybody wrong or prove anything wrong, but I do bring awareness to how we should be able to have conversation and communication to get to the bottom of any disagreement. And for the record, I just want you to know, again, thank you for participating. And there's nothing that I don't believe should be able to be settled if 2 people are willing to go the distance with reality, truth, proof, and evidence.
Right. I mean, because clarity is the main in regards to having a conversation, is being clear. Because, you can have a conversation and someone may say it one way, but someone else takes it a different way. So it's being clear in how you're saying and making sure the understanding of what you're saying is the way you're getting it over, you're getting it to the person in the manner that you want to make sure that they receive it the same way that you're giving it.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And that is why I have these conversations. That is why I am positive that I am called to bring awareness to how we listen, how we hear, how we understand, what we do with what we clearly gain as knowledge and information. So yeah, you're right. You want to make sure a person is hearing what you're saying and they're understanding what you're meaning. And it's going to require sometimes more than 1, 2, or 10 conversations. If a person is willing to communicate, where we have the issue is some people say, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore because I don't like you because you said this, that, or the other. And that's where, things go south. And that's how, I call it, stupid is what stupid does. No disrespect to anything or to anybody. But, you gotta be able to reason. The Bible says, if I can quote one of my favorite books, come on, brother or sister, and let's reason together. Reason requires an open mind and the ability to understand the difference between a 6 and a 9, regardless of what side you're looking at it from.
And then also, when you have conversations, even if you are speaking the truth, people are not ready to hear the truth. So you might have that same conversation with a person a month down the road, and then they said, okay, yeah, that's right. But that's the same thing you said a month ago. But that person wasn't ready to hear. They weren't hearing what you were saying.
Which totally lends itself to what I said in the beginning. If a person does not want to believe the truth, or if they're not accepting of it, because sometimes if you get your feelings, thoughts, emotions, and beliefs involved in something, You don't want the truth.
Right.
You only want what you want. And that is the childish mentality that many of us have, including me. I'm bringing awareness to it, but I'm willing to admit if you show me that 6.5 dozen is the same, I don't care how much they look alike, or I don't know how much they sound different. If you prove to me that 6.5 dozen is the same, I don't care how much I like it or don't like it. I need to be accepting of that. And that's where maturity comes in, and being able to accept what is not only reality, but what can and has been proven, and you not being able to pout about it and be mad about it.
And so sometimes you have to say in the end is, if you have a conversation, just come back and, if that person just say, tell me the truth. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong and tell me how you feel. So that way I can look at, because sometimes conversations are about feelings. Maybe not about reality. It may be about the circumstances how that person sees it, and then circumstances on how the other person sees it. Doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. It's just that everybody has a different point of view and looks at things from a different point of view.
I totally respect that. And in closing, I just want you to give me as short of a response as you can. When two things have been examined for truth and two people have decided to reason, and you have 6 on one side and you have a half a dozen on the other, and it has been determined based on what I call universal principles, points of references, and even law. There's certain things that you can't change no matter how you feel about it. There's certain things that have been established already, regardless of how we feel about it. And law, unless you're going to be a new lawmaker, the law says a certain thing about a certain situation. So when you analyze a situation through principles, through points of references, and even the law, and you come up where a person still refuses to accept not only the truth, not only principles, and not even the law. In closing, what is your thought about a person who just will stay in their feelings and will be stubborn and will not accept the truth, or as I started by saying, the truth is unbelievable, a person who will not believe clear evidence and still want to fuss or fight or be angry? What is your thought about that kind of attitude? And don't cuss. You can't cuss.
Well, personally, for me, in that particular situation, I would leave that person right where they are, because I'm not looking to change their mindset. I can only speak from my experience. So if my experience is the reality of what we're speaking about, then, and that's my truth, then I'll leave it right there. And if that person is not, doesn't want the reality of the situation, then I'm done. The conversation is over. Let's move on and go forward.
Is that
Let's
you saying
not
that?
Talk about that ever again.
Is that you saying that if someone owes you $9,000 and they pay you $6,000 and they want to argue with you, you're going to let them go?
That's different, because that's an agreement. That's just not a conversation. That was an agreement. Okay. That was okay. If I gave you physically $9,000, I expect to get physically back $9,000. There's no perception that 9 was a 6. That there was no visual perception. I actually gave you $9,000 in your hand or in your account. You can see that it was $9,000. It did not reduce to $6,000. So you can't come back to me and say, oh, no, that was actually 6. No, in reality, that was $9,000. But if we're having a conversation where you're asking my opinion or my help in a particular scenario, that has nothing to do with physical situation, as far as money is concerned, then if my actual opinion is different than your opinion, and you want me to change my opinion to yours, it won't happen, because this is how I feel, or this is how I think, or this is my perception of a particular scenario, and that's where I'm at. So if you're looking for me to change to your particular scenario or your particular perception, it probably won't be that, it won't go there, and I would just end the conversation and let's just move forward. Let's put that behind us and move forward.
Okay. Well, on that note, and for the sake of time, I'm going to let you know you and I go back at least 20 years, and I've loved you from the first day I met you and saw you, and we've had a few conversations here and there throughout the years. And every time I talk to you, I don't love or like everything you say. As a matter of fact, the last time we talked, you said I shot you down. I said, no, I knocked you out. We don't have to always agree, but I have a great deal of respect for you for what you do, in your profession, and I love you as a person, and I just want you to know I appreciate you at the last minute giving me this opportunity to bring awareness to how we listen here and how we think. So thank you so much, and I love you to no end.
Thank you, and I love you too.
And there you have it. That's my first guest for tonight, and she was so awesome. I want to thank her so much for hanging out with me. That topic was 6 and 9. Yes, they can look the same from one side to the other, but a 6 is a 6 and a 9 is a 9. If you don't agree with that, then I don't know who you are or why you're not agreeing with it, but don't worry about it. By chance, if you'd like to chat with me, I'd love to chat with you. All you have to do is send me an email to Travis Bridges and the number 2, and the subject, just put call me, and then in the body of it, just put your name and the subject, whatever you want to talk about. It's going to happen. I'm just still in that beginning process, and I am loving it. I'm having such a good time. I was singing my new theme song, and I would do it again, but I don't have time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a short break, and I'll be right back, okay? So do me a favor. Don't move, okay? Back.
Mighty Horn Music. Mighty Horn Music.
As time draws near and you plan your social events, call Mighty Horn Music for a party you and your friends will never forget. From banquets, receptions, family reunions, and church functions to birthday, executive, or private parties, Mighty Horn delivers. Event packages include live musicians, psalmists, comedians, clowns, and a karaoke show that's guaranteed to make you laugh. Mighty Horn Music specializes in providing a variety of music to keep your guests going for hours. Mighty Horn Music. Let us create a custom sound for your special event. From start to finish, Mighty Horn Music will plan your theme, decorate, cater, and entertain your guests with class and style. This year, make your events live with Mighty Horn Music. Call 786-487-7338, 786-487-7338, or log on to mightyhornmusic.com and let's party.
Hey.
Hey,
Are you ready now?
I am.
Okay, you're not on speaker or nothing, right?
No, I pressed speaker and I took you right off because I remember what you said. But it's kind of echoing. Can you hear an echo?
I don't hear an echo.
Okay.
We need to go, though. You ready?
Yes, wait, let me make sure I don't hear an echo. Hello?
Hello?
Okay, that's better.
Okay. Okay, so, this is a very sensitive subject for me. Did I lose you?
Okay.
And I've had a few opinions about the subject. As a matter of fact, I spoke to my sister on the phone last night, and she told me I would just leave it alone. You know how country folk talk. I'd leave it alone. I guess that means leave it alone. She thinks it's a little too sensitive, and she thinks that maybe you might say something that you might regret later. Just that fear talk that I get from a lot of people, but she just thought it was a little too sensitive, and it wasn't necessary for me to go into it. And I'm not talking about it because I'm trying to expose anything or anybody in any kind of way. It's a touchy subject that I just want to talk about. I want some information on it. I want to understand more about it. So over the next few weeks, I will be addressing it with people that are affected by it, who are, impacted by it, and, maybe those who are not. So just for the record, for my audience that'll be listening, We're talking about gays and lesbians. I don't know enough about all of the other letters included in that community, LGBTQT, and I think that's what it is. But I don't know enough, and I'm not as interested at this moment regarding all of the other entities of that community, with the exception of gays and lesbians right now. So I'm just going to try to get into it, and as our conversation develops, I guess our listeners will know more about you, and whatever you care to share on that subject, from a generic or a layman's perspective. I just want to thank you in advance for agreeing to come into this fire with me, because I do know it is a tough subject. So when I start talking about gays and lesbians, what is that to you? What does that mean to you?
Well, to me, gays seems like you mean, like, I think homosexual males, and when you say lesbian, I think about women in same-sex relationships.
Exactly. Same thing what I thought. I guess it's just a way to separate the genders. Gays are, I guess, would be considered, as you said, homosexual men, and the same thing for women, lesbians, homosexual women. So, and what is your take on that? How would you describe or identify or explain homosexuality?
People that live the same-sex lifestyle, like not just have sex, but the whole lifestyle, like that is it for them. I'm not interested in the opposite sex or living heterosexually. I am interested in the same sex and being in all that lifestyle encompasses. So
it's not just, I guess, physical sexual encounters. It is the entire lifestyle of same-sex interests.
I think that's the requirement to be labeled homosexual, whether you're lesbian or a gay man or whatever. I think it's lifestyle, definitely more than just sex.
Okay. And as it relates to, it's been labeled in different ways, and again, I want to be careful, because again, I'm really not going to be overly concerned about what someone else may think, because in order for me to get the information that I'm looking for, I have to walk on the edge in terms of, some of the things that could be taken the wrong way. But I'm going to go down the gamut of what I've heard or what I hear. Some people say, and just give me time to air these out, some people say it's a sickness. Some people say it's a type of dysfunction. Some people say it is just, a choice that people make. Some people say it's the devil. It's it's what do you call it? Wow, they say it's just it's just an abomination of God. I mean, there's all kind of negative things that are associated with it, more so than positive, and that's what I hear. And I don't have, an opinion either way. But I want to know your opinion as it relates to some of the negative backlash that is associated with homosexuality, it being dysfunctional or of the devil or, unlike God. What is your opinion of it being anything other than just normal? Well, hold on. Let me just ask you quickly. Is it normal or not? That's a yes or no question. Is homosexuality normal?
Yes.
Okay. So what is your opinion of people who label it in those areas of dysfunction?
What, my opinion of the people that think that is abnormal?
Yes, or like I said, I use some specific labels, of people. You don't have to go into detail. I'm just saying, if you just ask anybody on the street, that's why I get such a wow effect when you talk about it.
My sister just said not even 24 hours ago that it's a sin. I mean, that, and I didn't judge her either way. I mean, I engaged in the conversation with her until I didn't want to anymore. But she just said it. Yes, that it's a sin, and the religious thing, and no one sin is greater than the other one. And I'm like, okay,
right.
So I don't judge them either way, because they get to believe what they want to believe.
Mm-hmm. So,
if I try to, go ahead. I'm sorry.
If homosexuality is normal, then heterosexuality is also normal?
Yes, to me, yes.
Okay, is there, I guess I don't want to say is there a difference, or what is the difference between I guess it was kind of self-explanatory. You just explained what it was. But how is it that they're both normal and they're so different?
I mean, I guess I think of it as men and women are normal and so different. I don't see the distinction other than you like what you like a different. I don't see a difference. I'm trying to dig deep here, but I don't think people like I guess hetero people, and just for the record, I'm hetero people. They seem to think that people wake up and decide that they're gay, and it's like, you don't wake up and decide you're hetero. You wake up and it is what it is. So I think, at least from the people that I know, what I've read over the years, that it wasn't something they discovered. They knew. Like, when you're heterosexual, if you're heterosexual, you woke up and you looked at, as a straight man, you're attracted to women. That's the same thing that happened with them. They woke up and they're attracted to whoever they are. I mean, I guess the only difference or distinction is it wasn't something that they could readily share. They even had to hide it in most cases. So that's what the difference is to me. They couldn't be, or for whatever reason wouldn't be as open about it.
Right. Okay. What do you think of that? That people are not able to expose that when they wake up and discover that, or they wake up and that's just what they are, and they don't expose it. I guess because of the feedback that they get. What do you think of that? Why? I guess it's not fair. It's not right that people hide that for so long, or they feel that they have to hide it. What are your thoughts on the idea that I guess the world has not been as accepting of homosexuality as maybe homosexuals are as accepting? Do you understand the question? Hello? I think I lost my caller, and I'm going to do my best to get my caller back on the line.
Hey, not sure what happened, but I moved to another room in the house.
Okay. No problem. Did you understand my question, or did you hear it?
Ask me again.
The question was, what is your opinion of how homosexuals decide that they have to keep that quiet? You said, when you said people wake up and they don't decide they're, heterosexual, or when they wake up and they just, they discover, or whenever they discover, they always know anyway, but then they just are not able to express it or come forward with it. What do you think about that as being something that homosexuals in particular have to feel that they have to hide or not expose readily?
My opinion is that I think that maybe they might feel better, maybe even live better, if they are just true to themselves or live the life that they want, because the people that have come before them that are now are making strides. I think, and this is just my opinion, that I don't want to say, I think that it's more accepted, or it might even be tolerated. But it seems to me that they're gaining more rights civilly, and they are able to. They seem like they're making progress, and I think that only came or is only coming because people are deciding to stand in their truth, regardless of what people think. So I think that they should open up and talk about it so that they can progress even further.
Right. But of course they don't.
Right. Some don't. Yeah. I guess depending on what part of the country you're in.
Right. And why is it such a shameful thing? Again, let me just, for the record, I'm only talking about this because I just think it's a tough subject that most people won't touch, and I don't want to be afraid to speak. And I said this before, for the record, I'm not gay. I don't have gay tendencies. I'm only opening this up because I think, for people that are gay, maybe they would want people to be more, expressive about it. But why has it been, and why is it viewed as such a dysfunction or a sin, or something that's bad? I'm gonna go ahead and say I've had my thoughts throughout time. There was a time whenever I thought that same way, that it was just god awful, it's bad. And now that I've come into my own knowledge, now that I'm mature now, and I can view things based on my own examination of them, I don't look at it as good, bad, or ugly. I look at it as just what it is. And because I don't understand it, I just try to be not open to it, but just kind of neutral in my own way, without being, critical in any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not. Let me just be a little more clear. I don't knock it either way. If I discover someone that I'm exposed to or around is gay or lesbian, I don't look at them as different, or that they're doing something wrong or dysfunctional. But I am kind of, I guess, inquisitive, which is why I'm having, this live stream about it. It's like, how is that? Do you think gays and lesbians feel that they're abnormal themselves? Although we're probably not supposed to look at it as different.
I mean, and of course I can't speak for all gay people, but I don't think that in this day and age they feel abnormal. I think they feel that other people feel like that, and that's where the angst comes from.
Oh yeah, I kind of get
that
it.
About them. Yeah.
So you don't think they feel abnormal? You just know that they know other people think that they're abnormal.
And I think because I've actually heard, because I've actually gone to a lot of, group sessions where I spoke and or listened to teens and other, even older men that were still having problems coming to terms with it. And it's always about what straight people think about them that they have the problems with. And the way that they live their lives is based on that, which makes them unhappy, which is what those specific groups were about. Them trying to find a way to make peace with being joyous with who they are as gay men. I didn't do a lot. Didn't go to a lot of groups with lesbians. Ironically, just mostly men, but they had those problems. Not, like I said, necessarily about being gay, just about people knowing and shunning them. A lot of them came from homes or families where the majority of the people, didn't approve of them, and the ones that didn't care would only not care in private, like, they stood with the family, so that they wouldn't be shunned too. So, like I said, it was mostly about not being accepted by heterosexual people, be it, colleagues or friends or family. I never come across a lot of people that just hated themselves enough to, or not hate, that's a strong word, but just they were so homosexual like that. They wanted to be straight. I never came across or met anybody or read anywhere that they just, the problem was, I just want to be straight. Right. I've heard them trying to be straight, to get prayed straight and all of these other things, and they weren't happy and it didn't work.
Right. So do you think it is something that is from birth and just normal for a person who's born that way?
The Yeah, for some people. I do. I do. But I do also understand that there are some people that they will not, I guess, I'll say participate, for lack of a better word. Like, they know who they are, but for whatever reason, they are scared to death to walk in that, and they will live straight lives. Some people will, they will walk the straight and narrow, no pun intended, and deny themselves the feelings of, that same-sex relationship that they may believe they were born with or want or whatever, just to have some sense of normalcy, whether it's for career or whatever reasons. But they will deny themselves. But I've heard them say that, I know I'm gay, or but that lifestyle would not work out for where I'm trying to go or what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I have a couple of different things I want to ask you in particular, but I guess this is where it might get touchy for me. And I'm going to talk about, I guess, men in particular. I guess there is I'm going to have to pray before I ask this question or talk about this area. I know, right? And I'm going to speak for men and women. Now, there's this saying, and I've heard it. If a man or a woman likes the same sex, and I said I was going to talk about the men. I'll come back to the men, and let me talk about women because it's easier for me to make my point here. If a woman is a lesbian, and that's fine if that's where she is, and then she chooses a partner, and she chooses a partner that might be more masculine than her, because there are lesbian women that are very feminine, and then there are lesbian women that are very masculine in their own way. And that I was going to talk about the men before I started talking about the women. There are some guys that are a little more feminine than the average masculine, and then there's some guys that are just kind of you'll never know that based on their response. So I'm saying all that to say, there's a name, and I'm afraid to use the name because I don't know if it's offensive or not. But that's so I won't use the name. So why don't I just say this? Say it again.
Butch.
Well, you said it, but I was saying, I guess that's no, that's not what I was going to say. There are guys who seem to be a little overly feminine, and sometimes you can look at certain postures or body language or tones, and it goes without saying there are some guys who speak certain ways, and you can tell right off the bat that okay, they are probably homosexual based on their demeanors, for lack of a better word. And then there are those homosexual guys who, again, you never know the difference. So if you could expound, just your thoughts on what is the difference in the degrees, because you use the term butch, and if that's okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, and if I have to apologize, then I will. There are some lesbians that are a little more masculine than others. How does that work, in your opinion? Why there's some guys that are extremely feminine, and then there's some that are not? And you find that in the gay and lesbian couples, when you look at the difference, there's one that is a little more and one that is a little less. How do you explain that?
I think it's modeling. I think whomever they model themselves after, like the guys, like the effeminate guys, like whoever they're modeling, whoever they got it from might have made that type of impression on them. Like maybe I can't say it's somebody like they might have loved or hated or whatever, but a person made that impression. Sort of like who you model yourself after your I don't know. I don't know who you would have modeled yourself after, but you had to learn whatever you believe is masculine or from somebody. You didn't come out of the womb knowing it. Somewhere you saw it, it clicked with you, and that's what you went with. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say maybe that's what happened. They modeled them. They saw something. It resonated with them, and that's the way that they went.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you don't think? In my mind, I'm thinking maybe that's one of the born-in genes or whatever it is, that creates, that type of desire. There are some guys that are stronger with more testosterone, guys who are just straight heterosexual.
I don't know, because you have you like you said, you have the effeminate men, and I don't know, because if you said born like that, then we'd have to go back to maybe genetics or DNA or something. But I've seen men and women alike, and I've seen like their parents, so to speak, and they're not necessarily like them. Like the effeminate guys might not even have the most feminine mom, or you know what I'm saying. So I think it's wherever they saw it and it resonated. I don't know if a gene would make you any more feminine or masculine. I mean, we all have testosterone. We all have the same hormones. I got testosterone just like, you have, what is it, estrogen?
I don't have any estrogen. I'm sorry.
Progesterone. What do y'all have? I'm sorry. I know we have testosterone.
I'm straight testosterone.
We share.
I'm sorry. I have no estrogen whatsoever. I'm sorry.
None. You don't have no female hormone. Well, I can't even. You know what? That's the problem. Me saying female. That's what.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm just responding to you. I have no estrogen. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. Good. So now, moving along. So now I'm going to go to the other area. And this is something that you said to me the other day when we talked about talking about this. And this does kind of teeter into the other letters of the community that I'm not going to go into at this early anyway. But you said something in regards to someone that may be bisexual is not necessarily gay. And this is I'm gonna need you to speak real slow on this one for me, because there is a thin line, when you look at that, when you say that a person could be bisexual, but then they're not gay, or, I kind of want you to give me your take on that, because just for me, I don't understand how a person can be attracted to someone of the same sex and then not be considered gay or lesbian. And if there's something I'm missing, then by all means, share it with me. Can a bi person not be gay? Yes or no?
I don't think. I mean, I think it's what they say. I mean, for me to say, well, you're bisexual, that makes you gay, I think it's what they think. Because, of course, sexuality comes with a lifestyle, too. Even if it's fleeting. What you're doing, like some people could be called bisexual by somebody that's not bisexual, and they could just say, hey, I'm pan, because there's such a thing as pansexual, too.
What's that?
Pansexuals are people that are attracted to people, personalities. It doesn't necessarily matter if it's a penis or a vagina. It's the essence of a person. Like, it's an energy thing they're attracted to.
I think I am attracted to an energy thing, but not in a sexual way. I think I'm attracted to intelligence. So if a person has a certain character...
Sapiosexual. What they call that, sapiosexual.
Well, whatever it is, I'm trying to make sure I'm clear and not what you're saying. When you say...
That is a thing.
I can be attracted to someone who has a pleasant personality, who's nice, and they can be male or female, and I wouldn't necessarily be attracted to them sexually. I'm not sexually attracted to men at all, never have been, and but I do find that sometimes if I talk to a brother and he's intelligent, I want to talk to him some more. I want to hear some more intelligence because I can get ideas, I can get, inspiration, and I'm okay with that, but I wouldn't be sexually attracted to him. So I'm trying to understand what you said, pansexual, that they're attracted to. Is it personalities or just energies?
Well, I think it's all of that.
And what are you saying, pan? P-A-N?
Yes, pansexual. That means that it doesn't necessarily matter the gender. It's that that.
So you're saying, hold on a second. So you're saying that this pansexual can be sexually attracted to a male and or a female?
Yeah, that it doesn't
sexually.
Matter what. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what that thing. What is the thing that attracts them? It doesn't matter to them if it's in a male or a female.
And that wouldn't necessarily make them gay or lesbian, because in my mind, if a person is attracted to the same sex, regardless of why, that's what I guess classifies either gays or lesbian. If I'm wrong, by all means, correct me. So you're saying
nobody's wrong. I think that's a heterosexual way of thinking, because pansexuals, and I don't think they necessarily. I think they classify themselves as pansexuals. They don't think gay or whatever, or most people probably would say bi, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that if it were bisexual, maybe they wouldn't have came up with the term pansexual. They would have just, stayed under that category, but I don't know.
Right.
It's like we don't need all these labels. We get different labels when I guess it's different. I guess bisexual didn't suit whatever the need. It didn't fit. Or whomever came up with the term, probably some psychologist somewhere, and they were like, "This pansexual. The definition of this is better for this class of people."
Well, I'm going to speak on myself for a quick moment when I just jumped in and just threw that in there as it relates to intelligence and personalities and whatever you say that's called. I'm okay with whatever it is. I'm just going to, turn off whether it's a sexual thing or not, because I can be, okay if a person is gay or lesbian and they're intelligent. I'm going to talk to them because I have a yearning for wanting to hear intelligence, especially if it's on a subject that I can grow and learn from. So I'm not, partial either way. If a person is gay or lesbian, they're just as much human to me as a person who's bisexual or straight or whatever. I can use the words of Dr. Martin Luther King when he talked about the color of someone's skin. Someone's sexual preferences is not as important to me as it used to be. The content of their character is what I think is more important, and that's just where I'm going to stand. And just for the record, for my listeners, I'm not going to be in position of judging someone. I know from my religious background and my religious history, it would be considered, as your sister said, a sin, and I'm just going to back away from that in terms of saying that anyone is sinning because of their sexual preferences. And if that's what it is, then okay. I'm just not going to say it out of my mouth. And if a person is gay or lesbian and they show respect for me, then I'm going to interact with them just like a human being, as opposed to either the color of their skin, the length of their hair, or their sexual preference. That's just me. So I'm not going to not employ someone, or I'm not going to interact with someone because of the color of their skin, or because of their height or their weight, or because of their sexual preference. Yeah, it is not what I subscribe to, and no, I don't understand it, fully. But in terms of criticizing or judging someone, I'm going to stay off that boat. So back to the point about bi. Did you answer my question? A person that's bisexual, are they gay or no? Oh, you did answer that. You said it's based on what they say.
Yeah, by definition, it just means that you are, sexually attracted to both sexes, whereas sapio is more than a sexual attraction. Not sapio, I'm sorry. Pansexual is more than a sexual attraction. But bisexual, by definition, is sexual attraction, like nothing else.
Okay. Well, if I had to put any of that and categorize, okay, if a person is gay, if they're lesbian, okay, so be it. But I guess that's where I would go into there. It's like I would scratch my head a little bit more when I talk, if I interact with a person who is bisexual. And again, not to put bisexuals in a class by themselves, but I can, I don't want to say I can understand or I can relate, but okay, if a person is gay or they're lesbian, they're gay or lesbian. But I don't know. I'm trying to. I scratch my head a little more when it comes to a person that's bisexual, because then that's just, I don't know. That's I don't even have a word for it. But I'll leave it alone right now for the sake of being safe. I just kind of don't want to get into it too much. But how do you explain bisexual?
How do I explain it?
What is your? Okay, I ask you, you gave me your definition or explanation or understanding of lesbians and gays. How do you isolate bisexual? What would be, if you had to explain the definition of bisexual, what would your words be?
That it's just a sexual attraction to both genders. Like, it's more physical sex.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure how this conversation was going to go. For some reason, I thought it would be much more heated. And as I venture into this subject for at least the rest of the month or the next few weeks, I can only imagine that as I interact with other people, people will have different inputs and will have different things to say or address. And I'm just going to be the person kind of sort of, in the middle, listening and learning. I will say that my conversation with you has been as educational as it has been entertaining, and I thank you for agreeing to participate with me. For some reason, I thought it would be much more deep. We had a couple conversations that never made it to the air.
What do you mean? You mean like you thought we would disagree?
No, I didn't think we would disagree because it's such a sensitive subject. Just talking about it, for some reason, I thought our conversation.
You know what? And when you were saying that, for the life of me, I kept saying to myself, like, what's sensitive about this? Like,
well, maybe, listen.
Like, why would this be a sensitive subject?
Maybe. No,
sex
maybe.
And love.
Maybe it's not. As I said, I had a certain, that's why I wanted to have the conversation, because I wanted to see what would come out. And for some reason, maybe because of the talk that I've heard and the fear that I've had of even touching on the subject caused me to think that, oh my God, it's going to be crazy. Well, no, it hasn't been crazy at all. And maybe, the other conversations that I will have with different people, because I'm sure.
It's probably going to be more taboo with people that I don't want to say closed-minded, but people that probably mind others' businesses is too much. You know what I'm saying? People that actually have an opinion about what you're doing sexually, emotionally, in your relationship. Like, I think you should be doing exactly what you want to do.
Well, hold on. You just said something that I think might. I think because maybe your mind is a little open, and my mind is definitely way more open than it used to be. I think maybe that's where some tension will come from. So I may have to be careful about who I interview and who I talk. Because if I do end up with a closed-minded person, on the line, that's going to be rather intense, because people that are closed-minded, they will say just what I've heard in some cases. It's a sin, and it's dysfunctional, and
it's in the Bible, and it's not even in there. And Sodom and Gomorrah, it's like, no, that's not what it says. Read it, people.
Okay.
It was the angel.
Why don't we touch on that? Because I don't know enough. Listen, I'm not as religious as some people, and people say it is in the Bible. I don't know. So give me your explanation of what people say that's in the Bible and how they say it may be wrong.
They say that God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because of homosexuality, which I guess that is where the term sodomites and sodomy and all of that came from. But there was all kinds of sins going on, and they were doing it from time immemorial. And I'm just, exaggerating that. I don't know. But it was going on forever. But it wasn't a problem from what I'm reading, and I'm sure people are going to try to tear it apart, and that's cool too. But from what I remember reading, they were supposed to not touch the angels. And they wanted the angels, he made them blind, everything that he could do to, just let the angels pass through or whatever. I can't remember what their journey was, but that's where all hell, no pun intended, broke loose, because they were trying to have sex with the angels. And what's most memorable to me that most people just skate all over is that it was okay for Lot to pimp out his daughters to them and say, hey, have sex with my daughters because they know not a man, but just don't touch the angel. And to me, that's the outrage right there, that it's okay to take my virgin daughters. But everybody else would know it's because they were gay, and that's why he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. And then, of course, you know how that ends. Then his virginal daughters got him drunk, and so they could get pregnant and go start New World. But all of the outrage is about them trying to have homosexual sex with the angels.
Well, I don't know enough about it, and maybe I will, in particularly, offer, a Bible, invite a Bible scholar on just for that reason. I think I'm going to go ahead and make a note now.
That would be a good idea. And tell them I'm sorry if they think I misquoted, but I mean, you've probably been to church more than me, Travis. You on the paraphrasation, which I know is not a word. I'm pretty sure that it sounded similar to what you've heard, or you don't know that. Was it Exodus? You don't know that part at all.
Well, no, I've heard, and I've heard different sermons on different things, and I've heard what you said straight from the pulpit. That, Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed as a result of homosexuality. And again, I haven't read enough about it myself, and I probably won't read it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, and I just wanted to hear from No, I probably won't. Maybe I will, but I would like to hear from a Bible scholar what it actually says and how they would interpret it. Because if it is something that the Bible says is right, wrong, or indifferent, okay, I would like to hear it from someone who would interpret it. I've always heard. I've always heard.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I've always heard and have believed from a religious perspective that it is wrong. Although I don't subscribe to everything that I believe and everything that I was taught, I've just chosen not to be judgmental about it. So yes, I've been taught that in somewhere in the Bible it says it's wrong, and from a religious perspective, especially from my spiritual and or religious background, it is considered a sin and wrong. And I have believed that, and in the core of my heart, I have to check myself regularly to say, okay, well, if it is wrong, it's not your place to judge or criticize or discriminate against someone who chooses that route, and I won't do it. So I won't discriminate against a person because of, their sexual preferences.
Let me urge you not to have a Bible scholar on if you are not going to fact check him, because he should and will come on with where he believes it says that
it might be a she.
Homosexuality is a sin, and then you should, at your leisure or whatever, read and get your own interpretation.
Well, that's why I said how they would interpret it. I said that on purpose. Okay. What someone reads, I don't need to fact check it. As I said, I may do it just for my own enrichment and edification. But that's why I said if I have a Bible scholar on, I would like to hear their interpretation of it. And I wouldn't have to fact check it. I would accept what they say, whether I like it or believe it, or accept it or not. I would like to hear what someone who's more into the Bible would have to say. So yeah, I probably will invite a Bible scholar on specifically for that question, because gays and lesbians is something that's heavy and deep and so much more prevalent than it was, years ago. It was something that people just hid and was just flat out just wrong. Right now, the gay and lesbian community is thriving, and they're doing certain things, and they're bold, and they're just all out there. And I don't have anything good, bad, or ugly to say, about that. I'm not gay or lesbian, and that doesn't make me better or worse than someone who is. So, anyway, I was just trying to find a way to close, and I wanted to say thank you, for participating. And as I was saying, I did think it would be different than it was. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I really did think it would be. And no, I didn't think we would disagree, because we have enough of that. And I think maybe I'm learning more how to interact with people that may or may not be disagreeable. But I think I do want to have some more conversations with different people and get different input. And I hope that regardless of how intense it seems to be, that I'm able to get through a conversation as I did. You put a lot of, you gave me a lot of input.
Yeah, it's gonna be, because people hold dear to them their beliefs about who other people should be having sex with or being in love with or living with or whatever.
Yeah, so you're saying it will what? It's going to be what?
I think it's going to be intense. I mean, and you probably should have a homosexual, a gay or lesbian person on too. If you can get somebody. I might be able to help you with that, but
if you can, that would be good. I would definitely invite them on, and I would love to hear, what they say. I don't guess I can just speak to heterosexual people about, the subject. So I would invite someone who is gay or lesbian to interact with. I'm gonna open the airwaves up for that. Let me put it into the atmosphere. I need some gays and lesbians that would be interested in chatting with me about their community. So maybe that door will open. I didn't know who my first victim, who my first guest would be on this subject. But I'm grateful that you again, in supporting of what I'm doing, and just being here with me. It means a lot. It is, whether it ended up being touchy or not, it's a touchy subject. And to my sister who told me that it's going to do still, well, this is an example of maybe how it didn't get out of hand, and I hope I didn't say anything. And let me just go ahead, if I said anything at all to offend anyone, let me just apologize in advance. It's not while I'm here to call anybody out, to expose anybody, or to offend anybody at all. I just have an interest. I'm going to be talking about engines in cars one day, and I might have to get some mechanics on. Who knows? But gays and lesbians is something that I kind of just wanted to get some information on. And
you just have to do what you do. I mean, being offended is a choice.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for reminding me of that. How many times have we had that conversation? My goodness.
Yeah.
And you know what?
People will be offended, but what does that have to do with you?
Right. I'm learning that. You know what? I've heard it said before in closing that youth is wasted on the young. I've had so many examples of that since I've passed years old, and I find out that there's so many things that I didn't know that I'm starting to understand now. And how, and in particular, choosing to be offended is like something I try my best not to do anymore. Sometimes if someone says something and you're not careful, it might hurt your feelings or might make you feel bad. And I know me, I have a bad habit of, if someone misunderstands me, that I've got to go through a whole song and dance. And me and you, we're still working on that area for me. But I'm getting better and I'm definitely better than I used to be. But I'm getting better at not choosing intentionally to be offended. And that's a good feeling and a good source of freedom, to know that, I have this choice to be at peace. And choosing it is definitely gives you a lot of power. Okay, so anything you want to say in closing as it relates to gays and lesbians? I want to say it now. Gays and lesbians, because it's so hard to say, because it's such a touchy subject, so to speak.
Love and let love.
Okay, that's your closing statement?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go on that note. I love you, always have, always will. And as bad as you treat me sometimes, you can't stop me from continuing to love you. I'm going to keep loving you.
Love you too, brother.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Okay.
Okay,
bye.
10-4.